What time is it? What time is it?
It's 6:59, so, and right, and to Ashley's point, start recording.
Yep, we're recording.
Okay, it's 7 o'clock by my clock. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of
of the United States of America and to the republic which it stands,
one
one
nation,
nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Alvarez,
Present.
Councilman Larka,
Here.
Councilman Lord,
Here.
Councilman O'Connor.
Here.
Supervisor Hay.
Here. Okay, we'll start off this evening with the work session. Item number 1, make a motion to go into the work session.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we discussed this 2 times. Will has whittled down my no parking and standing to 2 items. Number G, Pump House Road. Parking and standing shall be prohibited on both sides of the road from the intersection of Maple Way to the entrance to Southeast Town Park. And H, Independent Way. Parking and standing shall be prohibited on both sides of the road from the intersection of New York State Route 312 and Southeast Station parking lots. We've discussed this before. I had some minor revisions, the other ones, but we're not going to do those at this point in time. And tonight, at the end of the meeting here, we will make a motion to have a public hearing at our next meeting to make it law. Discussion.
Are we planning to do anything to handle the people that are going to want to use the bike path? I know it's not open, but they're still going to be there. Are we to allow them to go into the town park?
For the winter time, I mean, I think we're gonna make the date December 15th. We're gonna build, for the better, we're gonna make like a cul-de-sac. When you get to the end of the road before you go into the town park, we're gonna put up mafia blocks, okay? Give enough room for a bus to turn around and our town trucks to turn around when plowing. One, there'll be a opening wide enough for a truck to go into the recreation building to get supplies, whatever they need, but it'll be closed to the public until we open the parks in April. And then once we open in April, if the bike path is open at that point in time, we will open up. I think there's like 8 to 10 spaces at the end of the road where they'll be permitted to park.
Okay, good.
I'd make a point that I happened to be out there today, and there were about 4 cars parked in the beach parking area with bike racks on. So, you know, you're going to have an issue going forward with who uses those parking lots in the summertime.
We're taking it into consideration and we're getting well prepared, and the signs are already being made. And we have enforcement coming along. So unfortunately, something's going to have to happen, but it's going to be a very heavily traveled area for bikes, but it's a town park. And with the improvements we're going to make to the town park, I'm quite sure this year you're going to see a lot more people there, but we don't want the bikers there. They got 8 to 10.
Do we have any information, Tony, with regard to other parking areas that are being developed for the bikeway particularly?
Not necessarily. Next week, the village, when we had the Wells Park, they had come to us and asked for an area to come off of the bikeway down by the mobile home. What is it?
Someday retirement.
Someday retirement. Because when you come off the old railroad tracks, the bridge by Peaceable is very
Yeah.
steep. So at the time, we allowed them to make a path coming down into Wells Park, which was approved by us. Actually, well, we discussed it and approved it, and now they're ready to go forward with it. So, but there's no parking there. They just want a way to get off the bike path for people to get, into, areas to shop and things of that nature.
Okay, I'm just curious if the MTA took into consideration the development of any other parking areas for the use of the bikeway, since it's going to be the MTA's jurisdiction, the use of that bikeway. It's not town or county.
Even in the future, they won't turn it over to the county. It's going to be their responsibility from now until forever.
I don't know what agreements they might have with the county, but I know that the MTA is who's building it.
Well, I think they contracted out for it, but I think after it's built, it's the counties, but I don't know that. Bottom line, any major road, the next one you're gonna probably see up there is up in Patterson on 301, 30, no.
164,
64?
164.
Up around 164.
Gotcha.
But they're far and few between. As you know, we have one on Route 6 over going toward Carmel by Tilly Foster, there's one. But when they built the Pike Path, there was no parking. The federal funds was for, believe it or not, they expected people to travel back and forth to work on a bike, which just didn't fly.
I
We're
know
doing it in New York.
people are parking on Griffin Road now. There's a few spots in front of, right on Griffin Road where they enter the bike path. They park in Kobackers parking lot.
Oh, Kobackers, Longview's parking lot. When that bike path opens, Kobackers are we're gonna have a lot of problems with parking. We'll take care of our end the best we can.
Good. Thank you.
Okay. So we'll do that momentarily. I make a motion now, go into the regular portion of the meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. First item on the agenda is Resolution New York State Environmental Quality Review Act, SECR, Statement of Environmental Findings, Putnam Seabury Partners, LP. Now, this is a very lengthy document. It's actually 29 pages of resolve clauses, which we're not going to read them all, of course, but there have been some changes made. Your paper should read R1 and the small r, which means it's been revised. Some comments were made by Mr. Lord, some by the applicant, and who was the other one who made change?
The
Yourself?
attorney for Hunter's Glen.
Okay, so with the 3 new rounds of input, they've been included in this, and that's what I'm gonna actually read into the record beside the last resolve clause, so to speak. So on page 2, on the first whereas, we added the word draft environmental impact statement and on page 8, number 1, it says future use of this land shall be limited to landscaping, stormwater management, septic fields, well fields, and associated pump house structures and similar utilitarian uses not inconsistent with the objective of this restriction that would not generate significant traffic noise or visual impacts on adjacent residential areas. Existing trees and vegetation within the no-build area shall be maintained to the greatest extent practicable.
Are we discussing these or this is?
No, we're reading a resolution, and this is the resolution that's being presented this evening.
Okay.
If you want to discuss it after the fact, but let me get done with the changes.
Thank you.
And after that, if you have comment, you can speak.
Thank you.
Okay. On page 12, number D, there was a misspelling and the word should have been truck, which has been revised. On page 13, number 13, the word used to say the town board, that's been referred to now as the planning board. Page 14, at the bottom of the page, number 1, it says, future use of this land shall be limited to landscaping, stormwater management, septic fields, well fields, and associated pump house structures, and similar utilitarian uses not inconsistent with the objective of this restriction, and that would not generate significant traffic noise or visual impacts on adjacent residential areas. Existing trees and vegetation within the no-build area shall be maintained to the greatest extent possible. We read it earlier, but it's been reinserted there. On number 2, the applicant shall provide $40,000 to Hunter's Glen and up to $15,000 to Twin Brooks to plant evergreen trees or other landscaping. What was removed with the selection of planting of trees would be coordinated between the applicant and the board of Hunter's Glen and Twin Brooks, because that was just resolved with what I read previously. On page 31, I don't have it marked. I don't see anything on it. There's nothing on page 31. Okay. just read that was the extent of the changes.
There was a change on page 25.
Really? Okay, hold on. Why did I miss it? Oh, yep, I didn't put a paperclip there, sorry. On page 25, number 1, the special permit and our site plan approvals for the action shall require that noise from the rooftop HVAC equipment shall not exceed 46 dBA during nighttime hours, which is 9 dBA less than what is permitted by the town noise ordinance. And it also changes down in the middle of the paragraph. However, if noise from the rooftop exceeds 46 dBA during the nighttime hours. Did I miss anything else, Ash? I think I got them all. I know I didn't mark that one.
I think you may have skipped a couple on page 11.
Now, there was one where like the brackets were not proper on page 11.
Sorry, no, it wasn't page 11.
Page 12. Item 11.
Oh, yeah, I only saw the truck at the bottom. Okay, number 11, the applicant shall make a fair share contribution of $150,000 to design and installation of the traffic signal at an intersection of Route 312, Prospect Hill, if warranted and approved by the New York State DOT. And if I-
There was one other small change on 13. Local roads was changed to Fields Corner Road.
Yep, I didn't have that one highlighted. Your eyes are better than mine. Okay. Now, if by chance we missed it, the document you have in front of you is the official document. If I missed a word or letter, it's still bound by the written document, which will be corrected tomorrow, right, Dash? You'll give us a,
Yeah, I'll give you the clean copy of this. Yep.
we asked for the red line just to show the changes from the discussions previously. Okay,
Discussion?
good.
On page 14, number 1, prior to the issuance of a building permit, and that there's the change, future use of this land shall be limited to. I anticipate that we're going to abandon Barrett Road tonight. So if the applicant or the town requested the applicant at a future date to consider putting a trailway through that, a portion of that 172 acres, would that not be allowed because we have this wording here? Because we're limiting to septic fields, stormwater management, landscaping, pump house structures, and similar utilitarian uses. So I'm just wishing that if, in the event that the applicant or the town pushes to have some kind of a greenway connecting Tilly Foster to Fields Corner Lane at the far end, that it wouldn't be not allowed because we have this in our secret foundings.
A trailway would potentially increase traffic, as we were just speaking about. There tends to be a lot of parking at a trailhead. So there's the potential that it wouldn't be allowed.
Well,
It's not something that's proposed by the applicant at this time.
I know, but I think they seemed like they were considering that when John mentioned it and I mentioned it at the discussion.
I believe the way the applicant has been behaved during this whole time, pretty much trying to meet as many of the requirements that have been asked by the public, that it was something to be taken into consideration in the future. But right at this point in time, I don't see that happening.
Well, I'm not saying that he would do it. I'm just saying, does this language preclude him from not having to do it or not even considering it at a later date if we had that limiting language?
If the property becomes his, in my mind, I'm not an attorney, but if he wants to grant something to us taxpayers, whatever, he'd be allowed to do that. It's their property.
Okay, but
I think this kind of came up before with something else, and I believe the applicant hinted to, they wouldn't want people on their property based on, potential lawsuit. So I just don't see it happening. Obviously, I'm not speaking for the applicant, but somebody asked a similar question and they basically said, no, we don't really want people walking on the property.
This did come up during the DEIS process, and the response at the time was that, there was concern about having, truck traffic and pedestrians.
Okay, I'm just asking if the language is limiting, and I'm not suggesting, I'm just don't want to not have that possibility exist at a later date. I'm not saying the applicant will do it. I just want to make sure that if at a later date, it is decided that they might consider that, I wouldn't want them to be able to point to secret and say, well, we can't because it's not included in the findings, that it's not a use that would be permitted in this 172 acres. That's all my question is. I'm not lobbying to have it done. I'm just don't want to shoot us in the foot in the event that it's something that would be considered at a later date. That's all.
Okay,
Is it limiting at language? I'm just asking that question. Or can we add something to, or is it limiting language?
I think if there was a trailhead on the property, that could potentially be prohibited by this language. If it was a spur of a trail that had parking not on this site, then no, I don't think that would limit it.
Okay, but the development of a trail or a trail going through the property at any point is not limited by this language.
Right, just the trail section, I don't think would be limited by this language.
I would agree.
Thank you very much.
any other comment?
Yeah,
That's-
I had something.
Okay, John?
In my travels, and if you recall, last week I talked about standard and even extended trailers having a box height of 13 feet 6 inches. So I know there's been concern for people north of us, the use of Fields Corner Lane. Obviously, there, the permit would require that the overheight bars would be installed, so trucks couldn't go there. But many people voice concerns about trucks trying to get to Fair Street to get to 84 that way. And just to allay any fears, the overpass on Fair Street or underpass in the area of where the air supply and adult care community is on Fair Street, there's a 84 crosses Fair Street in that area, and it's 1210. So none of the large trucks could use that operate that area anyway, and that's 84 has been there as long as 84 has been there, so that's been an item where they can't pass through there. A standard truck could pass through there. So just wanted to make people aware of that in case there was any questions. So thanks.
Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, I'll ask for a roll call vote.
Councilman Alvarez,
Yes.
Councilman Larka,
Yes.
Councilman Lord,
No.
Councilman O'Connor,
Yes.
Supervisor Hay.
Yes. Passes 4-1. Number 2, resolution, special permit, Putnam Seabury Partners LP. Do the same thing we did on the other, and hopefully I don't miss anything this time. Okay, page 1, nothing. Wait,
Tony, can on the first resolution, there wasn't a second.
oh, no?
No.
I'll
Okay.
second.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry about that.
No problem.
I'm not in my regular seat. I'm cramped here in my office. Okay, there's nothing there. Okay. On page 2 of the special permit. Down around the first resolve clause, number 3. Additional screening or planting will be provided around employee parking areas have been added. Now, there's a whole bunch of brackets that have been changed, but it does not affect it in any way. So that's on page 3. On page 4, on number 3 is there underlined in red and a new wording. Prior to issuance of a builder permit for a tenant fit out, the applicant shall submit a statement of use to the building inspector certifying that the proposed use meets the definition of light manufacturer as defined by section 138-4 of the code of the town of Southeast. And under traffic, it was renumbered to number 5. Next change that I see was on page 7, under H. And the word more than 1 mile. So the access highway system shall not be permitted to use Route 312 more than 1 mile east of 184. The numbers say, what did I say? East?
184.
Oh, hey. I need glasses. Sorry about that. Looks like one to me. Okay, I-84. And we have 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. They've been renumbered. On page 8, there's a 17. Subject to approval of the Board of Hunters Glen and Twinbrook Manor, the applicant shall provide $40,000 to Hunters Glen and up to $15,000 to Twin Brooks to plant evergreen trees or other landscaping on the Hunters Glen and Twin Brook Manor residential properties in locations approved by the respective condominium association boards to further reduce visibility. What was removed, the selection of planting the trees will be coordinated between the applicant and the Board of Hunters Glen and Twin Brook Manor because it was resolved in this language prior to that. The numbers change as you go down. Next substantial, well, not even substantial. The next change was on page 10 under noise, which is number 36. And the word during nighttime hours. Now this is going back to the 46 dBA at all existing residential receptors during the nighttime hours. That pertains to the air conditioning units. On page 11, again, the numbers continue to change. That's it. What did I miss, Ash?
You got all of them.
Okay. Comments?
Hi,
Wait, let me, okay, is there a second for discussion?
I'll second.
Okay, discussion.
yes, I wanted to suggest wording changes. In traffic, I think
Page 1.
it's number 9 now. And
Is it page 9?
no, it's number 9. So
Page number first.
I think it's page 5, Tony.
page 5.
Yeah,
Okay, page 5. Okay, where, and what number, John?
Number 9.
Number 9. What do you, so the applicant shall, prior to the issuance of a certificate of occupancy of either building at the intersection of Route 312 and I-84 westbound ramps, modify signal timing in the event the improvements proposed for Crossroads 312 project have been made. In the event the improvements proposed for the Crossroads 312 project have not already been made, the applicant is not required to undertake any measurements at this intersection. What are you saying there?
I'm requesting that it be changed to the applicant shall, prior to issuance of a certificate of occupancy for either building at the intersection of Route 312 and I-84, modify the signal timing, irregardless of whether, or regardless of whether Crossroads is on or not. I think I made this point at the last meeting that I think there's going to be traffic issues, whether Crossroads starts or not. And if Crossroads comes on later on, they can make improvements, but the trucks are going to be going back to 84, either going west or going east. And I anticipate that there's going to be issues getting over the bridge or over 84 when they want to go west. So I think that signal timing should be adjusted by the applicant, by DOT at the applicant's expense.
The thing I would say about that is that if we ask them to do timings and measure before there's a C of O, there wouldn't be the impact of this project at that point. So I'm not sure what, I think what this is trying to say is that if Crossroads beats them, builds out and gets a C of O before this project is built, then they would need to do a traffic study to determine if that intersection needs adjustment, right?
Right, so the issue is that the traffic, if Crossroads were built, would include a significant amount of retail traffic And the intersection was, the Crossroads was supposed to put in improvements related to that type of volume. This project did not have the same peak hours as Crossroads and did not require the same signal timing changes to accommodate this project. What we have required in the seeker finding statement and what's included in the special permit is that after 3 months of occupancy, they will have to do a study of the corridor. And if based on that study, any additional timings changes are recommended, then they would be implemented. Because they don't have a user in mind, we don't know exactly who's going into these buildings. It doesn't make sense to ask them to change the signal timings to an arbitrary number. It would be better to see how the traffic in the area gets established once the buildings are up and running.
And also, I've been informed by someone, I haven't seen it myself, that the Crossroads property has a for sale sign on it at this point in time, and it never received its full approval from the planning board. Is that not true, Ashley?
It never received final site plan approval. It made it through the seeker process and then it ended there.
Okay. John?
Okay, thank you. I think
And just to add one more thing, if there is during some interim point in time an issue on that corridor, the town could reach out to DOT, and DOT can change lighting at the request of municipality at no expense to the town.
okay. Thank you.
Okay. Any further comment?
Yeah, Tony, I had a comment. I just wanted to recognize Putnam Seabury Partners. I think they've done a great job with the presentation, making modifications to accommodate feedback on this project. But unfortunately, I don't think the location, size, or character is in harmony with the surrounding area. So I will be voting no tonight on the special permit.
Okay. Okay.
I thought Will was saying something before. I'm not sure if he was muted or not. So just before we continue, I didn't know. Will, did you have any
No, I was
comments?
just going to point out what appears to be a typographical error in paragraph 9. It says on the third line down.
Yep, got it. As you see that
On which page?
on
Page
page
5,
5, number
Paragraph
9,
9,
third sentence.
third
Okay.
line.
In the, okay, that's what.
Got it?
That's all I
Okay,
had to say, Ed.
Okay, thanks, Will.
Okay, on the motion, roll call vote.
Councilman Alvarez,
Yes.
Councilman Larka,
No,
Councilman Lord,
No,
Councilman O'Connor,
Yes,
Supervisor Hay.
Yes. Passes 3-2. Number 3, resolution abandonment and demapping of Barrett Road, abandonment of portions of Pugsley Road, and recommendation of highway access extension, Putnam Seabury Partners LP. Go through the same routine. In the very first whereas clause, I'll read the entire thing as it should read. Putnam Seabury Partners LP, the applicant, has requested that the town board of the town of the Southeast, I, formally abandon and demap Barrett Road to enable the Did someone say something? Okay. Okay, formally abandoned and demap Barrett Road to enable the consolidation of 2 buildings originally contemplated for the applicant's proposed warehouse and distribution facility in one building, Building B, and to move project 600 feet farther away from Twin Brook Manor and 2 I's, except for dedication certain lands from the applicant, and abandon minor portions of Pugsley Road that will be of no further use for highway purposes. The result of improvements by the applicant to Pugsley Road, the Pugsley Road improvements, including its realignment, the proposed road abandonments, and in the whereas clause, the word improvements was capitalized. In the next whereas, the word and, in the next whereas, and again. And then there was a new, well, it says whereas. Ashley, is that an actual new whereas? Or just,
The paragraph just got broken up into multiple paragraphs.
so the second whereas is what was one big paragraph, 2 whereases is now one, wait, what was one long whereas is 2 small whereases. On page 2, Oh, 1, 2, 3, fourth whereas down, whereas the town board has received a letter from Fred Penna, PE, Esquire, Commissioner, Putnam County Highway Facilities, dated November 13, 2020, consenting to the proposed road abandonment as detailed in the following plans. PE-1 parcels to be exchanged, prepared by JMC, dated 03/2/19. C-101 layout plan A, prepared by JMC, dated 11/06/2017, and last revised 10/16/2020. C-102 layout plan B, prepared by JMC, dated 11/6/17, and last revised 10/16/20. C-103 layout plan C, prepared by JMC, dated 11/06/2017, and last revised 10/16/2020. C-104 layout plan D, prepared by JMC, dated 11/06/2017, and last revised on 10/16/2020. And C-105 layout plan E, prepared by JMC, dated 11/06/2017, and last revised 10/16/2020, which will improve Pugsley Road consistent with New York State Highway law and which will maintain passenger car access between Route 312 and County Road 60. A new whereas was added down below that on third one down. Whereas now third one after what I just read. Whereas the town board referred to proposed abandonment, the town board referred to the proposed road abandonments to the Town of Southeast Planning Board for a report of the official map changes in accordance with New York Town Law, Section 273N. Skip one whereas and go down in accordance with New York Town Law, Section 273. On page 3, in the second resolve clause, resolved that the town board of the Town of Southeast, in accordance with New York State Highway Law, Sections 171 and 2112-A, hereby consents to the alteration of Pugsley Road, including authorizing the applicant to enter onto and improve town land for the purposes of Pugsley Road improvements, and the acceptance of land from the applicant for this purpose, and the abandonment of the applicant of certain portions of the existing Pugsley Road that will be useless to the town following the improvements as detailed in the following documents and plans. Then you go down to the next to last resolve clause on that page. Resolved that the town board of the Town of Southeast hereby grants preliminary approval of the extension of the special dimension vehicle access highway design designation along Pugsley Road up to the project site driveways, and further authorize the town supervisor to issue a formal letter within 30 days of the adoption of this resolution to the New York State Department of Transportation requesting this designation upon the completion of the Pugsley Road improvements. And that was the only changes I saw. Discussion. Is there, well, second for discussion. Is there one?
I'll second.
Okay. Discussion.
Okay. I have to, I'm voting no for all three of these resolutions tonight concerning this project. I think it's too large. I think it's going to impact traffic on Route 312. I know that they decreased the size from the original DEIS, but I don't think they decreased it enough. They did provide a lot of answers to a lot of questions, a lot of comments from the town, but I still think it's too large. On the Barrett Road abandonment, I think you all know that I'm sad that we're going to be losing an asset that the town has had. And I see that we're not even getting anything in compensation for it. And so that's disappointing. They've given the county a right of way further down on Pugsley Road, but nothing for the town. So I'm disappointed and I'm voting no. So thank you.
I just want to make a comment on traffic. I sit here on Route 22 day after day after day. I've lived here since 1957 and it's grown up a bunch. And all I know is the traffic here I'm using Route 22 because the traffic on the Route 312 is nothing compared to what's happening out here on Route 22. The trucks are going by here 60 miles an hour. The number of trucks here are probably double what's happening on Route 312. Whether this project goes in or not, those trucks are gonna be there. There's improvement going into Carmel on the other side of the county, and the only way to get there is Route 312. So to deny one applicant the right, why everyone else moves forward, I cannot support that. Any other comment? Roll call vote.
Councilman Alvarez,
Yes.
Councilman Larka,
Yes.
Councilman Lord,
No?
Councilman O'Connor,
Yes.
Supervisor Hay.
Yes. Okay, number 4, resolution seeker negative declaration, ARB Planning Board. Now therefore be resolved that the Town of Southeast Town Board as lead agency has determined that the proposed action will not have a significant environmental impact and a draft environmental impact statement will not be prepared. So move for discussion.
Second.
So
Discussion. Ed?
this is just that there's not going to be a negative declaration or any steeper,
There will be a negative declaration, no EIS.
no EIS. Okay. Thank you.
And that's attached behind it too, John.
Thanks.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, next item. Okay, let's see, what was that number? What was that number?
That was 4.
4? Let me find 5. Hey, next year's budget, guys, give me a bigger office, please. Okay, number 5. Adopt local law to co-designate the planning board as ARB. Now therefore be resolved that the town board of the town of Southeast hereby adopts local law number 10 of 2020 pursuant to the municipal home rule law amending chapter 3 of the town code entitled Architectural Review Board to co-designate the town of Southeast Planning Board as the Architectural Review Board, the text of which is annexed hereto and made part hereof, and further resolved that the town clerk be and is hereby authorized and directed to A, enter said local law in the minutes of this meeting and in the code book of the town of Southeast, and B, give due notice of the adoption of said local law by filing such with the Secretary of State of New York for the time required by law. So move for discussion.
Second.
Discussion.
Ed?
Yeah, I'm not going to vote for this because I think that we, by giving the planning board the responsibility to also act as an architectural review board, they're going to have someone, a landscape expert and an architectural expert on the board in order to answer issues that may come up to projects brought to the town. And we're lucky enough to have someone who's very interested in landscape and is very experienced in it. And we have an architect on the planning board at this time, but that's not to say that that's always going to be the case. So I'm not in favor of this, but that's all.
Okay, I know in the past, John, that the planning board, before the architectural review board was formed, had always done the same duties, and I don't know if there was much of a problem or not. I understand what you're saying. When we seek out people to sit on the planning board, we can try to get those types of individuals. Not always going to fly, but we can do it during that process.
Yeah, and I would just say for the record, I think, right now there's not an architect on the ARB, which I think there's supposed to be. And I think that the landscaping, I'm not sure about the landscaping, but I see this as an upgrade, and I do see it having more continuity between the two boards in the approval process, and it'll want to recognize it'll be a lot more work for the planning board. But I think in my opinion, it should create a better project and more efficiently.
I think I've been listening to planning board meetings, and I think the understanding is that a landscape consultant may be called upon to assist the planning board on occasion. So that's positive, but again, I like that we had residents of town on a board that took an interest in in architectural review matters, and we're going to be losing that. So, but thank you.
Okay. Roll call vote.
Councilman Alvarez,
Yes.
Councilman Larka,
Yes.
Councilman Lord,
No, I'm 4 for 4. Sorry.
Councilman O'Connor,
Yes.
Supervisor Hay.
Yes. No, John, you look at it over 4, not 4 for 4. That's 1,000. Okay, number 6, certiorari settlement 60 International Boulevard. Now therefore be resolved that the town board of the town of Southeast does hereby accept the recommendations of its professional advisors and authorize the town attorney to execute a stipulation of settlement, consent judgment, and or order on consent in accordance with said recommendations for the following. Petitioner, 60 International Boulevard LLC, tax ID 45.-1-27, year 2020, assessment $3,328,900, settled assessment $3,114,021, and be further resolved that the town attorney is hereby authorized and directed to execute any and all stipulations, consent orders, and other documents necessary to reflect the foregoing settlement. So move for discussion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, number 7. Resolution authorizing the supervisor to enter in an agreement to swap public land located on Pugsley Road for other property located on Star Ridge Road in the town of Southeast. There were some minor adjustments to this. Up in the heading, it reads authorizing the supervisor to enter into an agreement to swap public land located on Pugsley Road for property located on Star Ridge Road in the town of Southeast for parkland use. And down in the third whereas from the bottom on the first page, there's a word that was, I'll read the whereas. Whereas a transfer of Pugsley Road property for the Star Ridge property is only possible after alienation of Pugsley Road property is authorized by the state legislature. And further resolved that the town board of town of Southeast hereby authorizes, empowers, and directs the supervisor to enter a land exchange agreement, the contract with Pro Swing Sports Realty, Inc. to convey the Pugsley Road property in exchange for the Star Ridge Road property, together with any and all ancillary documents and papers that may be necessary to implement the intent and purpose of this resolution in form and substance as approved by the town attorney. And be further resolved that despite the enactment of special act by the New York State Legislature authorizing the alienation of the Pugsley Road property, the foregoing resolution may be subject to permissive referendum, and be further resolved that the town clerk be and is hereby authorized and directed to publish an abstract of this resolution in the Putnam Press Times, the official publication of the town forthwith. So move for discussion.
Discussion.
Who said it first?
Well, I said second. John is asking for discussion.
Okay, John?
Yes, I just want to know what this means. Does this mean after this is passed that the property has now been has been swapped, or just
No.
begin the discussions?
It's not, it's basically, I would say to begin, it's got a long process to go. This is just authorizing this to take place, me to sign the paperwork. Will?
No, this is the, as Tony just said, this authorizes the entering into the contract, which once all the terms of the contract are fulfilled, the act of swapping the properties would take place. But because this is public land, generally a resolution authorizing the conveyance of public land is subject to a permissive referendum. In this instance, we've got state legislative approval that that allows us to convey this property. However, the title company representing the Pro Swing Sports is concerned that if we don't take these extra efforts, pass a resolution that's subject to permissive referendum, and then after 30 days, if no one files a valid petition, Michelle can certify that there has been no request for referendum and title is clear.
Okay, and then contract discussions start, and
The contract discussions have already begun.
Okay, and decisions upon what is going to be on that land and how that land is going to be used and,
They're going before the planning board.
okay, and so the planning board will make, will be studying all that and all those things.
Correct.
Okay,
They got a 1 to 2 year process ahead of them, yes.
sorry?
They have a 1 to 2 year process ahead of them, yes.
Okay,
Just like any other project in the town.
thank you.
Okay, roll call vote.
Councilman Alvarez,
Yes.
Councilman Larka,
Yes.
Councilman Lord,
Yes,
Councilman O'Connor,
Yes.
Supervisor Hay.
Yes. John, you're betting 1,000 now.
no, I'm not. I think,
Yeah, you're one for one.
well, no, I think out of the 4 votes, there were a couple of roll call votes, 5 roll call votes. I'm 1 for 5.
Okay, we're looking on the bright side, John. Okay, I'm adding number 9. We need to set, well, first of all, number 8, motion to set up a public hearing for the no parking standing for 12/17/20. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Now, I'm adding number 9. It's a motion to set a public hearing for the conveyance of real property owned by town at 160 Pugsy Road and Pro Swing 309 Star Ridge Road for the dedication of parkland, which we just discussed. So on the motion to add to the, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'll second. Do you need a second for that?
Yes, thank you.
Second.
I'm trying to be the boss, and I get the people a second all the time. Okay. Okay, and on the motion itself, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'll second. And aye.
Oh,
Tony, let me understand what you just did. You just set a public hearing?
no. Yes, for the 20th, 12/17. We're gonna be posted in the paper tomorrow.
That's not, no, we just adopted the resolution. We've already had public hearings on this.
Wait a second.
It's the notice of the adoption of the resolution, Tony, that's going in the
For
paper.
the,
Those-
for the
those are
referendum.
Things, yeah, the
That's it?
referendum.
Right. That's right.
So it's
That was
only
in
one
Will's-
public
Okay.
hearing.
That was in Will's email today.
Okay. Do we, let's,
So just one public hearing.
So what you just added was
okay, yeah.
not necessary. The thing that's being published is the notice of referendum.
Okay. I stand corrected. Remove number 9.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. John, you with that? Where'd John go? Oh, there he is. He moved to my left-hand side of the screen. Okay, public comment. Eric, explain how they do that?
Yeah, so if you want to make public comment, if you go to participants and click next to your name, you should be able to raise your hand. And we can unmute you. If you've called in, which I don't think anybody has, I believe it's *9. And if, I'll just open the chat up real quick. You could also type in the chat box if you would like to be unmuted. Don't see that anybody's raised their hand to talk. Give you one more chance.
Seeing none, town board members.
Yeah, wanted to mention that Putnam County Land Trust had scheduled to have a hike from their trailhead up in Brewster Heights for this Saturday, but that's been postponed. Putnam County Land Trust was deeded and donated a large piece of property to the, I guess, the northwest of Brewster Heights, from at the end of North Road and at the end of Lincoln Road. And it's a fairly large parcel. It goes all the way down to the bike path on one side and it goes over to Prospect Hill Road on the other. It's really a pretty cool place. I rode my bike in there last Saturday. But residents are concerned with parking situation up there. So Putnam County Land Trust is postponing their inaugural opening walk. But you should feel free to take your own walk in there. That's what it's there for. Putnam County Land Trust is there to promote using our natural resources to further the recreation use of the public. So please enjoy it and be careful and be safe. Also, there's I think we're doing e-waste is this Saturday from 10 to 2 at the Town Highway Department.
Rain or shine.
Yes, sir.
There's gonna be a lot of rain.
Oh, yeah. We're upwards of 2 inches.
And also posted at the Highway Department is all the e-waste dates for next year. There's 3 that are not gonna be on the first Saturday of each month. So just note that when you go each time. And John, back in 1957, when we moved to Brewster Heights, we used those fields where the Putnam County Land Trust is using now as ball fields.
Nice.
We trespassed way back when.
John,
What's-
are they planning on putting opening that up with some parking or something? I saw a recommendation for that.
I don't know. I don't know what the plan is. I think they're looking for us to give them some guidance, but I think Tony answered their questions in an email to the president of Putnam County Land Trust as to what process they should go through. But I think,
And I made suggestions too, John.
pardon?
We made a suggestion that was similar to what Eric said, because up on Route 312 by the end of North Brewster Road, there was a parcel of land there, and the individual owned that parcel, which is one of the church groups. They put a little parking area in there, so all he'd have to do is make application to the highway superintendent of the town of Southeast to, not make a curb cut, but to extend it, and they could put one right in there when they go in, and to keep everyone off the town roads.
Yeah, well, I think the purpose of the land trust is for the neighborhood enjoyment. So hopefully the people in Brewster Heights and Eagles Ridge will go in there and have fun.
Yeah, hopefully so. I know you're gonna be there. You're gonna be biking.
Yeah, it's we're losing space around here.
No, we're not. Come on. You just gained all that space. You just said that no one can build on it now. They got it. It's great.
Yeah, I know, but north of there, I think we lost a whole section up into Patterson. So
Ah. Okay. Anyone else? Okay, holidays coming, guys. Enjoy the holidays. It's coming up. Okay,
Proposing a shopping trip? Is that it?
by no means. Not me. No way. But everyone's waiting for some spaghetti and meatballs or lasagna for me to make for the town, but we're only gonna have a short little one. Yeah, I got a hand up here. Any rate, we're gonna do something a little bit different this year. We're still gonna have a little something at each location at the highway department, one Main Street in here, but we'll all be social distance and we won't be as one. We'll be as 3 separate. Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to close tonight's meeting.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Uh,
Aye.
Aye. Thank you all for coming.
All right, thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.